The Oedipus complex is a concept from psychoanalytic theory that describes a child's unconscious emotional attachment to one parent and feelings of rivalry toward the other. The concept is most closely associated with Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis. Freud believed that it represented an important stage in early psychological development. Although historically influential, the Oedipus complex remains controversial and is not generally regarded by modern psychology as a scientifically established universal process. The term comes from Oedipus, a character in ancient Greek mythology and the central figure of Sophocles' tragedy Oedipus Rex. According to the story, Oedipus unknowingly kills his biological father and later marries his biological mother. When the truth is eventually discovered, devastating consequences follow. Freud used this dramatic story as a symbolic framework for describing unconscious conflicts that he believed could occur between children and their parents during development. According to Freud's theory, the Oedipus complex develops during what he called the phallic stage, approximately between 3 and 6 years of age. In the classical version of the theory, a boy develops an unconscious attachment toward his mother and perceives his father as a rival for her affection. Freud argued that these feelings create psychological tension because the child simultaneously loves, depends upon, admires, and competes with his father. Freud believed that the conflict was normally resolved when the boy began identifying more strongly with his father rather than viewing him primarily as a competitor. Through this identification, the child supposedly adopted parental values, behavioral patterns, and social expectations. Freud connected this process with the development of the superego, the part of personality in his structural theory associated with conscience, morality, and internalized standards of acceptable behavior. The Oedipus complex is sometimes discussed alongside the Electra complex, a term introduced by Carl Jung to describe a proposed corresponding pattern involving girls and their parents. However, Freud did not accept the Electra complex as a precise equivalent of his own concept. His theories concerning female psychological development differed considerably and became particularly controversial. Both concepts reflect assumptions about gender, sexuality, and family relationships characteristic of early psychoanalytic thought. Modern psychologists generally approach the Oedipus complex cautiously. Freud developed many of his theories through clinical observations and interpretations rather than controlled experimental research. Consequently, critics argue that the concept is difficult to test scientifically and cannot reliably explain child development across different families and cultures. Contemporary developmental psychology more commonly studies parent-child relationships through attachment theory, social learning, cognitive development, temperament, family systems, and observable patterns of emotional and behavioral development. In conclusion, the Oedipus complex is best understood as a historically important psychoanalytic concept rather than an established scientific law about childhood. Freud used it to explain unconscious attachment, rivalry, identification, and personality development within the family. Its memorable name comes from the tragic Greek story of Oedipus, but the theory does not mean that children literally wish to repeat Oedipus's actions. While the concept profoundly influenced psychoanalysis, literature, art, and popular culture, modern psychology offers broader and more evidence-based explanations of childhood relationships. Understanding the Oedipus complex therefore provides valuable insight into Freud's theories and the historical development of psychological thought, while allowing readers to distinguish influential ideas from conclusions supported by contemporary scientific research today.